I'll quickly mention this. The son of Snow White producer Mark Platt, Jonah Platt is the son's name. He is speaking out publicly against Rachel Zegler and blaming her for the film's catastrophic failure at the box office.
Okay, this just escalated from a flop to a full-on fantasy franchise legal feud.
I mean, he's totally right. Now, of course, as we covered, the movie is terrible anyway in its own right. It was probably going to underperform regardless. People are tired of the soulless cash grab remake thing.
Because according to insider whispers and growing online buzz, Gal Gadot is allegedly taking legal action against her former co-star Rachel Zegler. And baby, this is the kind of off-screen drama Snow White didn't need, but the internet is devouring like poisoned apples. Forget the Disney demanding refunds. That was the warm-up.
They're tired of all that. The movie has all kinds of problems that could be pinned partly on the producer. Like the producer did not do a good job. Nobody who produced this movie did a good job.
This is allegedly a full-blown lawsuit, and it's coming from the inside. Co-star versus co-star, queen versus princess, and no studio to shield them now. Because Gal, she's done playing nice, and Rachel allegedly did way more damage than we even thought.
And that's apart from all of the political controversy started by the actress. So the movie had all kinds of problems creatively and conceptually.
So here's what's allegedly going down. Gal Gadot, after months of staying silent during the press meltdown, has snapped. She's allegedly filed legal action against Rachel Zegler for defamation, breach of contract, and reputational damage, stemming from the chaos surrounding Snow White's release. According to alleged legal leaks, Gal is accusing Rachel of sabotaging the promotional campaign, making unapproved and disparaging statements about the film, creating a hostile working environment that affected Gal's own career and future contracts. Girl, this isn't just petty co-star beef. This is serious. Gal isn't just mad. She's allegedly holding Rachel responsible for her own financial losses following the film's crash and burn. And let's be real, Gal Gadot suing anyone? That's not a small thing. That's a headline grabber, and it's allegedly already sending shockwaves through the industry.
There's no doubt that she drove the final nail into this movie's coffin. She probably drove the final 2 or 3 nails into the coffin.
Now, imagine being Rachel. You've already been blamed by fans. You've been mocked online, iced out by Disney, and slammed in the press. And now the woman you stood next to on every red carpet, the one who played the evil queen with you, is allegedly serving you legal papers. Sources say Rachel is absolutely furious, not just because she feels blindsided, but because she allegedly thought Gal was still on her side. Insiders claim she's been crying, panicking, and lashing out behind the scenes, telling friends Gal is using her as a scapegoat and trying to save her own reputation by throwing Rachel under the bus. But here's the twist. Gal didn't have to say anything before. She just let Rachel dig the hole. And now, she's allegedly shoving her all the way in.
And a lot of what you see with Zegler is really just this pretty common Gen Z mentality and approach to work.
Don't expect a magical resolution from the studio either. Disney, after quietly backing away from both actresses following the film's collapse, has allegedly refused to intervene. No statements, no mediators, no calls for peace. They've washed their hands. Because to them, this isn't about saving Snow White. That ship already sank. This is about protecting the Disney brand. And the second this turned into Gal versus Rachel in court, they officially left the building. One insider allegedly said, the lawsuit just confirmed what the studio already knew. This was never salvageable. And now, Disney's focused on future projects, with neither of them involved.
That she believes that she should be able to express herself and speak her truth, or whatever nonsense, regardless of the consequences to everybody else.
As word of the alleged lawsuit spreads, social media has lit up with opinions. And surprise, the internet is split. Half the crowd is riding hard for Gal. Good for her. Rachel dragged this movie down and acted above it. You can't trash a project and expect your co-stars not to speak up. But the other half, fully Team Rachel. Gal stayed quiet for months, and now she wants to sue? This feels calculated, like she waited until Rachel had no power left. Regardless of whose side you're on, one thing's clear. This isn't just about a lawsuit, it's about reputation survival in real time. Gal is allegedly trying to clear her name and reclaim her brand. Rachel is allegedly fighting to hold onto anything in an industry already ready to blacklist her. And everyone else? Grabbing popcorn.
In reality, you have a job. You're getting paid to do this job. You signed on the dotted line. You took on the role. You took the job. And that job comes with certain basic responsibilities.
So, let's get into the details, because this lawsuit, it's not just a warning shot, it's a full legal expose of everything that went down during and after Snow White. And according to insider leaks and legal chatter, Gal Gadot isn't suing over one or two sound bites, she's allegedly laying out a pattern of behavior, the kind of behind-the-scenes mess that studios whisper about, but rarely put on record. But Gal, she's allegedly done whispering.
It's no longer 1937, and we absolutely wrote a Snow White. That is, yeah,
by the prince.
she's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming
So
about
she's gonna die.
true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be.
Gal's legal team, according to sources, is claiming that Rachel didn't just speak out of turn in interviews, she allegedly created a toxic, disrespectful environment during press and promotion that directly led to damaged reputation, brand hesitation, and loss of future roles tied to her performance in Snow White. One particularly damning piece of the alleged filing, it claims Rachel broke contractual agreements regarding PR tone and content, essentially accusing her of saying things in public that went directly against the image Disney had legally asked her to uphold. You know, things like, "It's not 1937 anymore. She's not waiting around for true love. We're not making the original Snow White, because that one's weird." Statements that went viral, but not in the good way. And Gal's position? Allegedly this: you tanked the brand. You dragged us all down with you. And now you owe me for what it cost. That's not a petty argument. That's a career-level accusation. And it's hitting like a wrecking ball.
Our rights are on the line, folks. Our reproductive rights.
Ugh.
Come on,
Go get Cheshire Cat.
go vote blue. And if you disagree with the sentiment, just hit the unfollow button.
Here's the genius part. While Rachel was out doing viral interviews and trying to reclaim the princess image with a modern twist, Gal said nothing. She didn't clap back. She didn't jump into the fire. She allegedly just sat back and collected the fallout. And now, it's all being used as evidence. According to reports, Gal's legal team has compiled transcripts from press interviews, timeline comparisons of negative press versus box office dips, brand deal declines that allegedly cite Rachel-related backlash, internal emails that allegedly show Disney execs scrambling to contain Rachel's messaging. It's not emotional, it's calculated, it's business, and in Hollywood, nothing is more terrifying than a lawsuit with receipts, especially when the person holding them is calm, composed, and already working on their next blockbuster.
It came out in 1937,
What a
and very
timeline.
evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah.
Weird. So
Oh,
we
what a
didn't do
shit.
that this time.
So, what is Rachel doing while Gal is out here lawyering up? Allegedly. Melting down, sources claim Rachel is furious behind the scenes, calling the lawsuit a smear campaign and accusing Gal of using her as a scapegoat to protect her own image. And honestly, from Rachel's POV, that's what it looks like, because she wasn't the only one in those interviews. Gal was there too. She answered some of the same questions. But here's the difference. Gal kept her answers safe. Rachel made hers viral, and now she's allegedly paying for it. One source close to Rachel says she's been spiraling since the legal news broke, frantically trying to salvage her public image while privately begging her legal team to shut this down before it becomes career-ending. Because if this lawsuit makes it to court, there will be public records. And once those receipts hit the blogs and the TikToks, it's over.
You don't particularly see people who, look like me or are me playing roles like that. So it was definitely, when it got announced, it was a huge
You mean your guess is as good as mine,
It was, like,
ethnicity?
trending on Twitter for days because all of the people were angry.
Let's be honest, no one likes a messy lawsuit in Hollywood, but this one allegedly has people secretly rooting for Gal, because Rachel's behavior over the last year didn't just frustrate fans, it annoyed industry insiders too, producers, casting directors, publicists. They allegedly watched in horror as Rachel took a carefully structured PR campaign and tossed it into a blender. And now that Gal is allegedly holding her accountable, executives are allegedly thrilled. One source even said, "Finally, someone's saying what we couldn't say in public." In fact, there's talk that this case, if it goes forward, could change the way studios train and monitor their stars during press tours. And Rachel? might become the example no one ever wants to follow.
People that we need to educate, the people that we need to love into awareness.
Love them in the right direction.
Yeah, because there's nothing more effective than 19-year-olds educating the rest of the voting public while yelling, "Okay, boomer."
When a star falls in Hollywood, it's never just the backlash you see online. The real damage happens in the rooms no one talks about. The rooms where careers are made and unmade before a single camera ever rolls. And according to multiple alleged insiders, Rachel Zegler isn't just taking heat in public. She's allegedly being locked out of those rooms altogether. The lawsuit from Gal Gadot, that was just the detonator. What's happening now is the quiet erasure of Rachel Zegler from projects, deals, and entire future plans. She's not. Just trending for the wrong reasons. She's allegedly not being mentioned at all.
I don't need your business. You know what? Maybe Disney does. Maybe you're a tool, you're a pawn in this film. You didn't write it, you didn't direct it. You have nothing to do with the creation of Snow White.
Right.
You should shut up and do the job.
Let's be very clear. Rachel Zegler was supposed to be the next big thing. She had Spielberg backing her. She had Disney investing millions into her. She had the kind of press attention most new actresses would kill for. But now, alleged studio. Sources say she's no longer in consideration for multiple upcoming roles. Not because she can't act, but because she's become too radioactive to touch. One source reportedly said, the lawsuit was the final straw. Even if she wins, she loses. No one wants the drama. And what's even more brutal, some of the very same casting directors and producers who once pushed her name to the top of the list, allegedly the same ones pulling her out of the mix right now. Because no one wants to cast someone who brings controversy to the room before the first table read, it's not about the court case anymore. It's about risk. And Rachel Zegler's name is allegedly now marked with a giant unspoken red flag.
These people, and this is the difference between a business owner or someone who does very well for themselves in the private sector to become wealthy. This person was born looking a certain way and has a God-given ability to lie.
Let's talk strategy, because Gal's lawsuit, it wasn't just about protecting her image. It was about flipping the narrative. Before this, the public had started side-eyeing both actresses. Rachel for her comments, Gal for staying silent while the film burned down. But the second Gal allegedly filed that suit, the energy shifted. Suddenly, she wasn't passive anymore. She was powerful. She was doing what no one else dared, calling Rachel out legally. And that move, it gave the industry permission to say what they'd been thinking all along. Maybe she was the problem. Maybe Gal just didn't want to deal with the fallout. Maybe Rachel was never built for this spotlight to begin with, and now Gal is allegedly walking away from Snow White clean. The lawsuit isn't just about damages, it's about self-preservation, and it's working. Meanwhile, Rachel is allegedly left scrambling to repair relationships, stop the bleeding, and convince people she's still worth taking a risk on. But here's the truth. Hollywood doesn't wait for people to recover. It just replaces them.
And that's really what acting is, to pretend. They didn't earn it the same way, and so it comes with this entitlement.
While Rachel's team is allegedly panicking behind the scenes, the industry has already moved on. Casting offices aren't short on options. They've got a list of rising stars who know how to play the game, respect the legacy roles they take on, smile in interviews instead of mocking their own projects. Jenna Ortega, Halle Bailey, Florence Pugh, Sophia Carson, even young Broadway girls with clean reputations and loyal Gen Z fan bases. And what's the vibe right now? Allegedly, give us someone like Rachel, but without the attitude. That right there is the line that kills a career. It means you had the look, the potential, even the talent. But your personality, your press presence, your public missteps, they became your legacy. And no one is going to risk their studio's image for a girl who's trending for court docs instead of callbacks.
The movie went over budget, right? Went over about $250 million.
Internally, things are getting desperate. One insider allegedly claimed that Rachel's reps are now focused on damage control, not casting. Meaning, they're not pushing for auditions, they're just trying to stop the spiral. That includes trying to block details of Gal's lawsuit from going public, calling in favors to soften industry perception, pitching her for low-stakes roles to test the waters for a comeback. But the reality? No one's biting, because even if Rachel somehow comes out of this legally clean, her name has been dragged through too much controversy to sell optimism again. She's no longer an asset. She's allegedly viewed as a reputation liability. And the scariest part for her team, they can't spin that. Not when the evidence is everywhere, in interviews, in viral clips, and now allegedly in court.
They had the whole dwarf midget issue where they decided they weren't going to have any midget actors, right? They were having DEI-inspired magical creatures to replace.
So here we are, bestie. The girl who was handpicked to be Disney's next face, the girl who got the legacy role, the girl who got Steven Spielberg's blessing, the girl who was supposed to lead a whole generation of reimagined fairy tales. She's now allegedly being erased from the very industry that once lined up to kiss her glass slipper. Not because of one mistake, not because of a single interview, but because she allegedly refused to play the game and then lost control of the entire board. And now, Gal Gadot's lawsuit isn't just a PR nuke, it's the final page of a story Disney doesn't even want to acknowledge anymore. Let's break down the brutal, quiet, strategic way Hollywood ends a star without ever having to say her name again.
Some of you want us to hire actual dwarf humans, and then we thought we would have CGI magical creatures. How about this? We'll still offend the dwarves, but we'll CGI dwarves.
Here's the truth no one says out loud in this industry. Cancel culture isn't the real danger. Irrelevance is. And Rachel Zegler is being cut out quietly in a way that doesn't require tweets, outrage, or call-outs. Just silence. No more roles. No more endorsements. No more public support. Even her own agency is allegedly distancing itself, shifting its focus to lower-risk talent and pushing her name off project lists unless explicitly requested. Which, let's be real, no one's doing. And the studios? They're not slamming doors. They're just not answering anymore. You don't need to blacklist someone when the entire industry just stops mentioning them in meetings. You don't need to fire someone when you never hire them again. And that's where Rachel is now, in that dead space between used to be something and never again.
They will guarantee no employment for little people while getting rid of this other component that warranted CGI. It was the worst decision they could possibly make.
Let's be clear. Gal Gadot didn't just file a lawsuit to vent, she allegedly delivered the final blow that no one at Disney wanted to deal with themselves. Because let's not pretend Disney handled this well. They stayed quiet. They played the passive game. They let Rachel burn, but they never spoke up. And now, they don't have to. Gal's legal move handed them the perfect out. She's allegedly exposing Rachel's contract violations, unprofessional behavior on set, and a press campaign so messy it allegedly sabotaged Disney's entire promotional strategy. This is the stuff studios pray stays under wraps. And Gal? She's putting it on the table. With this lawsuit, she's giving Hollywood the permission to say, we can't touch her. She's a liability. She's legally messy now. No brand, no streaming platform, no director wants to be the one who casts the girl who's literally in court with her co-star from a Disney project. It doesn't matter how talented she is. It doesn't matter if she wins. Because in this business, perception is more powerful than truth. And Rachel Zegler is now perceived as the problem.
163,000 rating, of which it got 1.6, not out of 5. Like, you know, sometimes you go to McDonald's, it's 1.6 out of 5.
Yeah.
1.6 out of 10.
Vinny, you know
How
what that
bad
is?
is that?
You know how Hollywood usually works, right? Even after scandals, stars disappear for a year, then come back with a rebrand, a heartfelt interview, a soft indie role. But for Rachel, that door is allegedly already closed. Because here's the brutal truth. No one is asking for her comeback. No one's rooting for her to rise. No one's even talking about what she could do next. She's not being positioned for redemption. She's being written off. Even fan accounts have gone quiet. Even her most vocal defenders from last year, nowhere to be found. The Give Her Grace movement, dead. The it was just bad PR defense, gone. The young talent learning, on. The job sympathy, not happening anymore because people didn't just stop liking Rachel. They stopped caring. And that, babe, is worse than cancellation. That's irrelevance in motion.
What's our friend screaming? Wow.
And it's
was
nobody was in there. Nobody
Can
was
you
in
go?
Here's what hurts the most. Rachel had the makings of a legacy career, not just stardom, impact. She was going to be Disney's new era, the Gen Z voice, the modern woman in the castle, the anti-damsel with a message. Instead, she became the message, the warning, the PR manual red flag. Don't go full Zegler. Don't bite the hand that cast you. Don't mock the magic, even if you don't believe in it, because Hollywood is not sentimental. They invest in image, and if you can't protect your own, they'll find someone who can. And now, Rachel Zegler is allegedly Hollywood's go-to example of how to lose everything before you even reach the peak. No fairy godmother, no magical redemption, just a crown she shattered herself, and a silence that says we're moving on. So, what do you think? Did Rachel sabotage her own legacy, or did Hollywood set her up to fail the moment she stepped out of the fairy tale box? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, like this video, subscribe for more A-list disasters, and hit the bell so you're the first to hear when another star falls from grace. Because Rachel's not the last girl to fumble the crown, and when the next one does, you already know we'll be here with the tea.